Hey everyone, Sarah here. So I feel like I haven't seen you guys in so long, so I wanted to come on. So this video, I'm here to talk to you about my 2021 recap. So I want to go over just how I did in my 2021 continuous improvement project, and I want to share it all with you. So some of my Patreons will know already a lot of this stuff, but I think it's cool to kind of see how it all comes together and just, yeah, so I'm just going to jump into it because I kind of feel like this might be a long project. So for 2021, I really focused on my word of the year, which is growth. So you guys all know, you've seen my word of the year, and let me just get to it. This is my progress planner, if you will. It's really kind of just a bullet journal, but my word of the year was growth. So I just love word of the year. So let me know and below what your word of the year for 2021 was and how you did with it, because I'm really excited about how 21 fared for me, if you will. I will say that I really think that this year I grew a lot. Like, I definitely feel like I lived my word of the year. So I'm just going to get into it and kind of go over month by month how I did and kind of like what my continuous improvement project was for 2021. So going into 2021, my word of the year was growth. My vision board was like this. So really, my vision board hasn't changed. Well, it's changed a lot because I updated it, but it still has the same things on it. The only thing it does not have is a Mini Cooper on it. So I've been wanting a Mini Cooper for years, and I ended up getting one as a rental. And I just felt like this may not be the car for me. I love how it looks, and it actually drove pretty well, but like, I think I need to be higher up or something. So I think I need to stick with a CR, like a SUV. So anyway, so the only thing that has really come off my vision board is the Mini Cooper. So that was the only thing that changed. But going into 2021, I really sat and took the time to understand what my core values were, and which I think you should do that every year just to make sure that you might need to update them. Mine really don't change. They've kind of always been what they are. I think I've added to them over the year, but my core values is curiosity, empowering, disciplined, and integrity. I really believe that I lived these words of the year. These value systems for 2021 in conjunction with my word of the year for my continuous improvement project. I think I'm overcomplicating it there, but just kind of like, I feel like 2021 was really like a great alignment year for me. So January took the time to understand what success looked like for me. Like, what was my definition of success? What do I want out of life? So I think we often will say like, this is what success looks like because this is what society tells me it looks like. But I actually sat there and took the time to understand what success looks like for me and a lot of my Patreons. So I know you guys did this exercise and really liked it. So I took a look and I understood what it meant to me. And one of the things that came out of this month was I really took the time to understand what my ideal day was, like hour by hour. And I don't mean like I meant if money was no object, what would my ideal day be? My ideal day is still kind of involved some level of work, and I think it changes in what the work would be. Like, I think it would be more of this. If I had money was no object, I still think I would do some of these things with you guys, like, because I love doing this stuff, and I wouldn't have to like sit on a work laptop, but I would sit on my work laptop and obviously travel and stuff. But really taking a deep look, I'm in a tangent of what that ideal day looked like for me. And then also I looked at what my current situation of my ideal day was, and that helped me identify the gaps, like really identifying the gaps like that. I talk about that in that project course that I put together, understanding the gaps. That's such a key thing. So I took what my ideal day was and what my current situation's day was like, and I understood what the differences were so I could take action on getting to that. And I will say that I am so much closer to my ideal day now at the end of the year than I was at the beginning of the year. And it entailed a lot of changes in my life, but like I never knew how much that every day, that ideal day, really contributed to like my happiness level or my fulfillment level. Because that's really what I think it's about. I don't know that it's you strive to be happy. Like I think striving to be fulfilled is like the right term for me anyway. So I really like taking that time to understand what I wanted and what I had and what the gaps were really was ideal, like really helpful for me because I was able to work towards something. I was able to identify what I needed to change. So moving on to February, money. This is another area that I made a lot of progress in. So a lot of these things that I set out for, some I didn't make progress to, some I made a little progress to, and some I really felt like I did really well in. So money. This one was, I took a deep dive in my finances. Like I printed all the statements and I highlighted all the transactions into different categories. And I really took the time to understand where my money was going. But I took a look at what my current state was and then what I wanted to do. So on my vision board, I had this vision of like retirement and helping my kids with college, those kind of things, and like debt free and all that stuff. So I took a look at what I was doing, what I was wasting money on, like how I was spending money, and I was able to redirect that money into some of my priorities. And I set up a system where I didn't have to manually do it. It just was like auto withdraw into 401ks and college funds and whatever. And I did that and I set those systems up. So whatever I was left with was what I was left with. And I will say, like, I maxed out my 401k, yeah. And then I did 529s. I increased that significantly to my kids. I paid off my car, which was great. And I didn't save any money this year. I will be honest, I had a hard time saving money, but I guess in a savings account, but I did save it in other ways. But I also ran into some medical issues that were big financial implications. So I had one major surgery that I had to pay a lot for a deductible. I had another surgery that I had to pay a lot for the deductible. And then my dog had surgery. So I had to put out a lot of money this year, but I was able to do it without going further into debt. So, and which I don't actually have very, very little debt. So I think I'm extremely happy with how I did this year because I made a lot of progress towards my financial goals. I did not achieve my financial goals, but I set systems that it's like on autopilot. So now it is what it is. So I'm really happy with how I did in my financial area, which I know I still have more to do. So I think like this year, I'm going to kind of level it up again. I'm going to take that same deep dive and figure out what I need to do to make the next step happen. So March was all about health. Now, I went into March thinking like I want to lose some weight, I want to create some meal plans, and I did not do well. I don't want to say I failed in March because I actually had some stuff going on that I was not aware of at this time, which was completely like how are you going to make progress if you don't know what you're actually working with? So anyway, I went into this with the intention of like meal planning and all this stuff. Guys, I was so exhausted in March. I was taking like 2 naps a day. I literally could not get through the day without taking 2 naps a day. And I remember like lunch hour would hit and I'd have to take a nap, and then I would take a nap as soon as work was done. And I had zero energy. And it's like, oh, I need to eat better. It's like, oh, I need to sleep better. I'm like, I don't need to sleep anymore. I'm sleeping a ton. So I did not do well in March for health, but overall in the health, I actually did very well because I found out that I had some big medical issues underlying that were really causing me to like fail, if you will, or not make any progress. So I actually want to say like I had huge progress this year in health because I addressed some issues that I didn't know I had. All right, declutter. April was all about decluttering, 40 bag challenge. I hope you guys will all do this with me again in April. Like, I don't know, like I feel like I want to do like a declutter miss, like instead of vlogmas, it would be like vlog clutter. I don't know, but I'm not saying I'm doing that. But anyway, April, like declutter, I definitely got rid of way more than 40 bags. So enlightening. I love it. Every year do this. It's so awesome. It's enlightening to see what you spend your money on. May, mental clutter. Okay, so May was all about mental clutter, and I did create the habit of journaling. I'm not saying I was like super every single day doing it, but I really thought I made a lot of progress with journaling this year, and like it's actually like a habit, and I saw some benefits of it because I'd be like struggling with something and then just processing it. I was like, oh, that's kind of a different perspective, you know? So that was actually very helpful. Also, I did some work gratitude, which that is a very helpful thing, like to incorporate doing like a gratitude list for just work. The other thing that I think was the biggest thing was I actually took the time to understand what my stress triggers were. So I wrote on little sticky notes, and if you go back to like my May plan with me's, you'll see me writing little sticky notes like stress, and I would update them with what triggered any stress that day. And I found out I had two big stress triggers. And one was like feeling behind, which caused me to figure out like an email management system, which I still freaking love. And I know I owe you guys a video on that. I'm working on it. And then the other thing was unrealistic expectations at work. Like that was really driving me. So I like to do well. I like to overachieve. I get this. I'm type A, hello. So it was really stressful to me. And actually, in like hindsight, thinking about it, I was actually in a pretty toxic work environment. If I thought about it, like that's a toxic work environment, and I got out of that eventually. So anyway, so that was actually very helpful. June was all about reset. So I kind of looked at my values. I looked at my definition of success, all good. I was checking out my ideal day. So then I revisited the theme of health, and this actually, by this point, I knew stuff was going on. So I was a little bit more open to like forgiveness of myself for failing at my health goals. But so I actually re-looked at the theme of health, and I started to think about like, why did I fail? Or why didn't I make the progress that I wanted to? And it was really like my scope was too big. So I narrowed the scope. And actually what came out of this was really helpful. I actually had, instead of doing like meal planning and exercising and all that stuff, I just focused on like what nutrition I wanted to focus on for meals. So like, for example, breakfast was all about fiber, lunch was all about protein, and dinner was all about veggies. Like, so that just quick little themes that I have for each meal. I still, when I travel, I do that. So if I'm out to breakfast or out to lunch or out to dinner, I think like veggies, or if it's breakfast, it's like fiber, you know, so I still think of that when I'm ordering off the menu. So actually I was really helpful with that. And then I actually did have my big surgery that month. So that was really it. It was kind of like a real reset. And then July was all about family and healing because I was in surgery recovery mode, and my son got a car. And this is actually a really weird transitional point because this is where my new job started to creep up and those conversations, and I just had surgery. So such a weird thing. And I planned on doing a vacation, but I couldn't because I had the surgery. But now I was like, maybe I might start a new job. I don't know what's happening. So July was just like hanging out at home basically. And my son got a car and healing. So August was all about fun. So this was a good month as well. I made it a point to reconnect with some old work coworkers. Like, you know, those like coworkers that are like more your friend than coworkers. So I definitely reached out to a few of those that were around. And I still am having lunch with them or going out to dinner with them. And it's December and this was July. So like, I think it's sticking now because we were on like kind of a good rhythm before COVID as well. But now we're like now into a routine. So that was loved that for fun. September, this was another favorite month. September was all about love. And what I did was I took the time to understand the love languages of each of my family members. And then I actually would try to implement showing them love in their love languages. So like, for instance, if one's love language was acts of service, and I could see like my son was getting like stressed because he just had a lot going on, like, you know what, I'll switch your laundry for you, and why don't you go do those things that you have to do? Like, so those little things I started to incorporate, and I'm still doing that today. So that was actually, go do that. That was really cool. October, like I started to feel like I had energy again in life. I set up a 90-day plan. The focus was on work. 90-day plan, which is going to be kind of how I format my planning system for next year, for 2022. I launched a project or a program at work, my portfolio management tool. It was adopted, it's being utilized, and it's also now the foundation for my 2022. So that went really well, and I loved doing that because I basically just had to look at that every day, and I didn't have to figure out what I needed to work on. So it was great because I'm like, oh, this is what I'm doing today. So love the 90-day plan. November, so sad to say this, but my focus was gratitude, and I didn't do anything for November. I got my Christmas shopping done. That was basically it. And that's my goal every year, is to get Christmas shopping done by December 1st. So I didn't do anything in November. December was all about joy. So December for me is joy, it's Christmas, it's setting up planners, it's watching Hallmark movies, it's doing these types of videos where we kind of look back and reflect, and it's also figuring out the next year for me. And those things bring me so much joy. So that is what I focused on for December. So that is my 2021 continuous improvement recap. So how did you do in 2021? I really want to know, what was your word? How did you do towards that? And I'm so excited because this year was like, every continuous improvement project I do, I feel like better about it every year. Like, I love it even more. And this year was like such an alignment year. I feel like it was weird. Like, my word was growth. I changed my daily every day to match kind of more of what my definition of success was. I learned a lot. I took a coaching certification course, so I'm almost on my certification, which I would love to bring to this channel. I did that, so I definitely grew a lot, and I grew in such a way that it aligned with what my definition of success is, what my core values are, and I just am so excited for 2022. So go check out my 2022 video, because I'm going to announce what my word of the year is for 2022, and I'll talk about the themes for the continuous improvement project, because I would really love for you all to do it with me, and we'll just kind of do this type of thing for 2022. And I did close down my Patreon so I could bring this over to my YouTube. So thank you, everyone, and thank you for everything this year. You guys mean a lot to me. This channel means a lot to me. Plan the Grind means a lot to me, and thank you, and have a great end of the year, and Happy New Year, and I will see you soon. Bye.